TLDR, I like this. Straight up, I enjoyed the Outer Worlds 2 more than Avowed. The story and companions might not blow you away, probably not worth the full $70 asking price, but there's a fairly good RPG here, albeit with criticisms. I played through this multiple times, getting 100% achievements, and core gameplay feels solid. Dialogue options, environmental storytelling, and meaningful decisions that had a noticeable impact.
Yeah, impressive, huh?
The Outer Worlds 2 begins with investigating a new threat, space rifts. From capitalists, fascists to cult scientists, there's a power struggle between huge organizations with different ideologies and plans for those rifts. They really lean into these themes. You're part of the Earth Directorate that quickly sets the tone with a corny Starship Trooper style cinematic, the kind that's deliberately over the top.
The Earth Directorate is on your side.
When you start out, you get to pick your background and starting skills, or the really cool RPG bits, but honestly the character creator feels kind of pointless. I spent all this time customizing my look, but I played primarily in first person. You might not realise, but there is an option to go third person, and it plays a little awkward, but I appreciate that it is an option. But you might prefer it, especially if you play a controller. I ended up specialising in a mix of lockpicking, gunplay, stealth, speech and leadership. I quite enjoyed my build. My general strategy was to sneak around and stealth kill as many enemies as possible. Once I get discovered, then I'd go guns blazing. While you're being sneaky crouching around, your companions awkwardly crouch around with you and stick out like a sore thumb, but they don't actually aggro enemies. A little bit later on in the game, I found this unique two-handed mace. Looks cool, but also functions as a shotgun when it smashes into enemies. I think it's just sick as hell melting enemies with a hammer shotgun. You might think the sound of a shotgun blast would be terrible for stealth, and you'd be right, but it turns out I had another perk that would camouflage me straight away after a blast, so I would stay stealthed.
Coming up on some foes.
I discovered a really cool synergy of effects. Before I get into skills and perks, if you're a huge fan of RPGs, consider subbing to Bytes or liking the video. I'm a bit of an indie game developer, cover lots of RPGs, and you might like my Final Fantasy series where I'm replaying them all and ranking them as I go. Thank you.
Oh, really? Why didn't you lead with that?
The Outer Worlds are filled with little skill checks. I do love getting to utilise my skills wherever possible, from opening up shortcuts to finding bonus items, or even using skills to unlock special dialogue options. Really cool. Progression is an integral part of the experience. It's such a satisfying feeling getting a level up and skill point to spend. Every other level you also get a bonus perk point which have more unique effects. What makes this even better are flaws. As you're playing and meet certain requirements, you'll be offered a flaw. They're like unique perks that come with a side effect. You can accept or reject a flaw, it's your decision to make. I have a bad habit of reloading guns a little too often. The game recognised my flaw and I was presented with the option of the over-prepared flaw. If I take this, my gun magazines increase 50% in size. In exchange, if I fail to manually reload, then I suffer a hefty damage penalty for 8 seconds. And I kinda really liked this flaw. I took it because it played to my style. I reload too often in games, so this plays to my benefit. Another flaw I liked was wasteful. All enemies drop some ammo, but in exchange shops are 25% more expensive. Just so happens I was working towards an achievement that requires me to not buy anything in game, so this was a really useful flaw to take. I was also offered flawed, which forces you to accept all flaws you're offered. But I didn't dare take this one, it's too risky, but it sounds awesome if you're looking for a chaotic playthrough.
That would be an understatement.
You can't respec your skills and perks outside of the prologue. I understand why that is, because it would undermine the role-playing, but I think a lot of players prefer having the option to respec, especially if you manage to screw up your build. So just be aware that you can't respec, you have to commit to your decisions. The Outer Worlds 2 takes place on a few different worlds and stations. I quite enjoyed the first planet, Paradise. It's open to explore with mountains and terrain naturally shaping where you can go, giving the illusion of more freedom than there actually is. That said, locations don't fall into the same issues as other modern open world games, as in there's no copy-paste activities or open world icons, you're just exploring and discovering the world for yourself. You're making your own trail within the boundaries of your story. What's that in the distance? Maybe I can loot that building over there, or I'm hacking locations and reading log entries to find out what's happened in abandoned locations. And you really will be picking up absolutely everything because there is no weight limit for your inventory. There's even an in-game radio, the wireless. You can turn this on while you're exploring. It captures a bit of the essence of Fallout games with classic-like music. And it's pretty sweet. Loads of work has been put into the unique radio soundtracks, but I've got to admit the propaganda and advertisements for products got a little bit annoying after a while.
Testing to do means cheaper prices for you, and he is the best choice.
And it is pretty chill just doing your own thing. Looting and scavenging, it really scratches an itch. I was playing on hard and very hard, so I really had to scrounge for extra supplies or materials for crafting. What I really like are these collectible cards. They're hidden all over the place and you're rewarded for every card you find with little stat boosts. Enemies do not scale to your level, and I'm really glad there's no level scaling. I've played so many games lately that feature level scaling. It sounds weird to say that the Outer Worlds 2 is a breath of fresh air in that regard. The more you play, the more you feel like you're progressing and becoming stronger, especially in the harder difficulties. I found it best to generally prioritize side content, not just because you'll become stronger, but because you'll often discover new ways or options to tackle the main story for later on.
Oh, indeed!
A lot of quests revolve around the game's three main factions or corporations. Throughout, there's a lot of satire and parody, especially around the horrors of capitalism at its extreme. You have to deal with these out-of-touch managers and exploited workers who are little more than slaves. It's like a blend of horror and comedy. It's pretty dark.
They work 20-hour shifts, which require stims to endure that are charged at a premium.
There is a reputation system. Doing quests and helping different factions increases your standing, providing little bonuses. But I was able to get a perk that pretty much maxes out my reputations, which completely trivializes the entire system. There's a pretty good amount of different ways to deal with objectives. It's the kind of RPG where you can talk your way into extra quest rewards.
Here's what I would have paid already, with a little extra on top.
Maybe bribe someone or even talk down major bosses with speech, different skills or information you've acquired. Make no mistake, this is a dialogue-heavy game. I love that even the main menu is set up like a conversation with dialogue options. It's such a clever touch.
You picked the very hard difficulty? Inspiring.
You can make some pretty big decisions and choices. It's not always choose A or B. It's a bit more in-depth, more nuance. And playing through the game a second time for 100%, I got to see some of those more alternative paths, and I even discovered options that I didn't have in the first playthrough. There's a lot criticised, but choices do matter.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Fact of the matter is, I criticised Avowed for the lack of agency with NPCs in the world. No one would react to you or things in their environment. Well, surprisingly, the Outer Worlds 2 is the complete opposite.
Was committing that crime really worth squandering our goodwill?
I'm pretty sure you're able to murder absolutely anyone, including major story characters. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it gives you the sense of agency or sense of a living world. There was one achievement that required me to reach the lowest reputation with two major factions, so after I finished the story I went back to their towns and I just went on a rampage. And I gotta admit, it was pretty fun reveling in the chaos. My companions didn't like it though.
Hey, we gotta talk about all the killing you've done.
Speaking of, you can recruit companions, but this is where I feel things fall a little short. Personally, I didn't feel super connected with most of the companions and their side stories. That said, there was one badass called Tristan, and we made a pretty awesome team just smashing stuff up. Your companions will often provide their input on quests or the situations you'll find yourself in, and Tristan always has something badass to say. He was brilliant.
Go about your business, Order. People, I suppose I shouldn't call them scum. Do not be alarmed. I am not here to execute any of you. Yet.
It's a lot of the kind of stuff you'd expect with companions. You can command them to use their special ability in combat, and they've got their own little passive trees. A lot of companions are optional. You'll have to find and recruit them for yourself, and if you really don't like them, you can always just remove them and kick them out your crew.
I'll gather my things and leave then.
You can also find little pets and provide them a home, but pets function as more of a cosmetic thing.
Or getting a pet? I don't care.
I'm going to talk about some of the unique equipment and weapons I found to give you a sense of itemization and what you can expect, but I don't want to spoil too much. You want to discover a lot of things for yourself. While there's no item levels on equipment and weapons, personally I think the game is better without those. If you find something really good early on, you could use it the whole way through the game, but there is some pretty awesome stuff later on. My go-to was my hammer shotgun. I talked about it earlier, and it melts faces by blasting shotgun shells while you're whacking people. Rookie's Reward is a submachine gun that levels up and becomes stronger the more you use it. It took me a while to realise there's actually a visual XP bar on the back of it. Really nice attention to detail. Gary is living armor that automatically lashes out at enemies with tentacles. Works really well in a melee build. And there's a shrink ray. You can shrink enemies then stomp on them. Like I said, there's no weight limit, so I'd collect and hold onto all the unique and legendary gear. I found there's a fair bit of potential for synergy between your equipment, skills, perks and flaws. Sick as hell. So I finished my first playthrough after just over 40 hours, then I went back and got all the collectibles and achievements, which also involved a second playthrough. You'll need to play very hard mode. You also need to complete the game without spending any money. The Rookie's Reward weapon I mentioned earlier, it levels it up as you use it. You need to get that to max level, which was a massive grind. You'll need to collect 100 cards, some of them are a bit bullshit to find. And you'll need to replay the game or load an earlier save and experience different paths in the story. 2 achievements were completely bugged, and I was able to earn one of them on my second playthrough, but I've tried the other one many times, it's just completely broken. This pushed things to the 70-hour mark, and I just don't think 100% was worth the extra effort, especially when the achievements are bugged. Performance-wise, game ran fine. Towards the back end of the game, one of the later zones caused a bit of stuttering. Had to lower my settings, but it ran fine on my slightly older hardware.
We're the best and brightest. We infiltrate corrupt governments before breakfast most days.
So storytelling and companions didn't impress me for the most part. Yeah, I thought Tristan was pretty cool, but even then his companion quest didn't blow me away. Those are usually 2 big important factors in the game for me, but I've got to admit, I still enjoyed a lot of the Outer Worlds dialogue. Choices mattered. It was the RPG elements I came to really like. The sense of exploration, player agency, making use of your skills. I enjoyed just exploring, looting and discovering the Outer Worlds for myself. I like the world building. I think the flaw system is really well done. Love how it picks up on your personal flaws like me reloading too much and adds another form of decision making. I had a positive experience with the combat. I started out sneaking around more stealthy and gunplay focused before progressing into the more crazy weapons like my shotgun hammer. I'm giving the Outer Worlds 2 80 petabytes. I think it's on the short end for being a $70 RPG. I'd wait for a sale, and while I'd recommend playing through the game, I wouldn't recommend the extra effort of going for 100%. As of right now, I'm a bit lower than the average critic, and I'll stand by that. Alright, I recently completed Infinite Wealth 100% and reviewed it. Recommend checking that out. It's a crazy RPG that has its own Pokemon system. Have a good one.